Merkel Media.
Hey guys, welcome to the 21 CD podcast. I'm your host, John. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm sorry I missed the episode on Tuesday, but I had a pretty good reason for that, since I was actually out in the woods across multiple states, freezing my nuts off and hunting Dogman with Merkel Media. We got some pretty crazy, pretty cool, unexplainable, and some fun stuff, and I can't wait for you guys to see what we did on that film, but unfortunately you will have to be patient for it, as I don't think it's coming out until next year sometime. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about right now. I wanted to make it up to you guys for missing that episode, so I decided to give you guys something very special today. Now, I've been wanting to make my episodes a little more exciting for a while now. The 21 CD podcast is an adventure, and I have grand ideas and dreams for it, and I have only begun to scratch the surface of the creative output that I hope to use this podcast as. This podcast, as you see it now, is only beginning to develop, and I can promise you that in a year, you won't even recognize the 21 CD podcast because it will be so vastly different than this as we continue to grow and become better and stronger and make our visions come to life. I want the podcast to have more depth, the videos and the audio to portray more drama and be more exciting to watch and listen to. I want better audio and visual quality. And so, saying all that, I thought, what better opportunity than now to begin the next step in this evolutionary process? So yes, though this episode is a little bit shorter, a lot more has gone into it than my typical hour-long episode. As a matter of fact, this episode actually took about 3 to 4 times longer to put together than my regular hour-long episodes. So be sure to let me know if you enjoy this episode, and that'll help me decide if I'm going in the right direction, and we'll begin to make more like it, make every episode similar to this. Obviously, it does take a lot of time, and I have a full-time job, so, this one did get special attention, but if you guys really like it, I'll do my very best to make an episode like that. I'd also like to announce that the 21 CD podcast is now a part of Merkel Media. So for those of you who are familiar with the Confessionals and Tony Merkel, you'll immediately recognize the name. And the 21 CD podcast is extremely excited and grateful to be part of the team over at Merkel Media, and we can't wait to see where it goes from here. We expect great big things and have no reason to believe that anything other than great big things will happen. Lastly, I need you guys to share the show. I really need you guys to find that one friend or family member that you think would like this kind of content and literally share the show with them, or post it on your social medias or whatever it is, because we have to get out there. We're having a hard time getting new people to visit the show, and we desperately need your help. So if you're on the YouTube exclusively, please consider following on the Instagram, where you'll get a lot more updates. And that goes for you podcasters as well, the people who listen to audio content exclusively. Please follow the Instagram, 21CD Podcast. And if you can, please follow the YouTube. We need to get all our ducks in a row and all our people together at all the same places so that you guys never miss an update, and so that we can bust through this algorithm that hates podcasters like us. So yeah, follow the Instagram, 21CD Podcast, and follow the YouTube as well. If you want the visual content that comes with every single episode. We shoot in 4K, and episodes like this are extremely visual heavy. So you might want to, if you're a listener, you might want to watch this on YouTube later as well, because you're going to enjoy it a lot more when you can see what I'm talking about, and you can experience the beautiful art and visual content that comes along with these dramatic episodes. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you guys across all platforms. Last but not least, though I have most certainly made this episode more entertaining and dramatic, what I'm telling you are true stories, as far as I can verify. Obviously, those of us who have listened to paranormal content for quite some time, we know that there are multiple truths to every story like this, and a lot of this stuff goes back to ancient history that can't be verified or whatever. But I just want you guys to know that I have not made anything up for the sake of entertainment, even though this may sound like a fantasy story or some kind of tale spun for entertainment. Everything that I have posted, or everything that I'm going to be portraying to you guys, has been verified by multiple sources, and I am just merely relaying it in a way that I hope you will enjoy. So, without further ado, let's get to the episode. My friends, welcome to Dudleytown, the village of the damned. Whispers and murmurs of curses abound when it comes to Dudleytown. This tiny, elusive village lies deep in the dark entry forest of Connecticut. The forest is aptly named due to the lack of light that is able to pierce through the tree cover, while the curse is rumored to weave and wind into the Middle Ages, where other Dudleys lost their heads in a treason scheme against the then King of England, the famed and feared King Henry VIII. This long-past Dudley family was known for its transgressions against mankind, even allowing murderers to pay their way to pardon. Because of these sins against their fellow man, their name was cursed. However, it has been found through the meticulous tracing of bloodlines and lineage that these Dudleys of England are not related to the Dudleys of Dudleytown, Connecticut. No. The Dudleys of Dudleytown, Connecticut, named because of the 5 Dudley brothers that bought and decided to settle on the land, had walked into a damnation all of their own. For some, the lack of relation to the Dudleys of England means the lack of connection to any sort of curse, so it turns the whole tale of Dudleytown into a hoax in their minds. They say it's just a mere yarn, said to be spun by Ed and Lorraine Warren. Indeed, the famous couple did visit Dudleytown at one point, and even did some work on the place, claiming that it should be avoided at all costs. They even embellished the tale a bit with some false details that they knew would bring profit, as they have been known to do on a number of occasions. But sometimes, the truth is scarier than the lie. In 1747, a man named Thomas Griffiths sold the land upon which Dudleytown would later be built to Gideon Dudley. Little did they know that this place was a burial ground for the Mohawk tribe. Even now, who can say how much this often ignored part of every paranormal story continues to contribute to the horrors that take place in the Dark Entry Forest. Gideon, along with his two brothers, Abiel and Barzillai, wasted no time. Dudleytown was built between three hills, where darkness would fall at noontime each day. Though they had planned to farm this remote location, both for their own survival and for exports, the land was not suitable for such a purpose. Crops would not grow here. Timber became the main source of income instead. Native American attacks and even a plague were responsible for multiple deaths during the 1760s. Though this wasn't particularly unexpected for this time frame, it definitely added to the relative danger of the area. The horrors began quickly for those that chose to call this reclusive village home. For indeed, at its height, only 26 families lived in Dudleytown. It was much closer to a village than a town. A man named Nathaniel Carter moved to the town soon after the Dudley brothers acquired the land. One day, it is said that Carter was forced to take a trip for work. When he returned, he found his wife and child brutally slaughtered by natives that were in the area. Needless to say, Carter could not bear to continue living in this forsaken village in the middle of nowhere where crops would not grow and where murder and insanity were on the rise. He decided to move back to New York to live out the remainder of his days with other family members. Sadly, those days were also cut short, and Clark was unexpectedly murdered. Abiel Dudley, the original owner of the land Nathaniel Clark lived on, suffered from extreme insanity and dementia. And though he lived to the age of 90, he died in the town, cursed by strange visions and nightmares, something that would become frequent among the villagers. Abiel's good friend Gershon Hollister, while building a barn for another town resident named William Tanner, allegedly fell to his death in 1792. Some townspeople say the scene was so brutal, however, that Tanner must have killed Hollister with an axe. It was not long, however, before Tanner also succumbed to insanity and began to make wild claims that a strange animal from the forest killed Hollister. Tanner wasn't the only member of the village that claimed to see bizarre monsters, demons, and ghosts in the forest and walking among the houses. Many of the townspeople claimed to see figures watching them from the outskirts of town or through their windows at night. These sightings continue to this day. Revolutionary war hero General Heman Swift, a close friend of George Washington, took his wife Sarah Fay One and moved to the village at one point A little-known detail in the history of Dudleytown and the nearby town of Cornwall is that George Washington actually visited General Swift and his wife at their home at one point in time. It did not take long for disaster to strike the Swifts, however. Sarah was tragically struck by lightning in front of their home in 1804. Some say she was merely sitting on her porch when the killing blow struck. General Swift, like an eerily large number of fellow townspeople before him, went mad, and little is known about his life between Sarah's death and his, which occurred 10 years later. Horace and Mary Greeley also took up residence in Dudleytown. Horace was a presidential nominee in the race against Ulysses S. Grant following the Civil War. 1 week before the election in 1872, Mary, his wife, committed suicide, and Horace went on to lose the bid to Grant. Some accounts say she died of a mysterious lung disease, but it is difficult to verify if this is the truth or just another cover-up for the overwhelming amount of bizarre deaths and calamities in the area. By the 1900s, Dudleytown, like many of its residents, was all but dead. There were but a few residents left who had not been driven out by lack of resources and complete absence of hope. The town was now nearly 150 years old when John Patrick Brophy and his small family moved into the area. His family would be some of the last residents to call this village of the damned home. His wife would die of tuberculosis soon after moving to Dudleytown. And not long after her death, his two sons unexplainably got up one day, walked into the forest, and vanished without a trace. Their bodies have never been found. Some say they were wanted by the law. Others say this is simply a convenient cover-up. They were not the first residents to meet such a bizarre end, nor would they be the last. Their father, the sole survivor of this doomed family, survived a mysterious fire that burned the family, or familyless, home to the ground. The loss of his family and his home was too much for him, so he followed in the footsteps of his sons and walked into the forest, never to be seen again. Like his sons, his body has never been found. At the same time as the Brophies, the family of Dr. William Clark was also living off and on in Dudleytown, as he had purchased 1,000 acres in the area. Dr. Clark was a leading expert in cancer in these days, so he was occasionally called to New York for work. On a beautiful summer in 1918, Dr. Clark and his wife were vacationing at the Dudleytown cottage when Clark was unexpectedly called to work in New York. He was gone for only 36 hours, and upon returning was surprised not to find his wife at the station waiting for him. Anxiously, he rushed to his Dudleytown home, only to find his wife in a fit of insanity. Some accounts say she was in the upper room, with her mouth stretched unnaturally wide open, and a demonic laugh was bellowing forth from her, though she was not in control of the laugh. Dr. Clark settled her and broke her out of her bizarre stupor, but she unpredictably committed suicide not long after. Before her death, she told her husband tales of creatures from the forest, watching her and even coming to attack her while he was gone. Indeed, these tales had been told before by other villagers. These horrifying tales of things in the woods are one of the most confounding elements of Dudleytown. After her death, Dr. Clark chose to remain in the area until his death in 1943. He even founded the Dark Entry Forest Association. an organization aimed at protecting the grounds of Dudleytown and the surrounding area. The Dark Entry Forest Association pledged to keep the area forever wild, and multiple Clark descendants still reside in the area. Today, only the abandoned cellar holes and some scattered remnants of stone foundations remain of Dudleytown. All of the buildings have crumbled and long ago decayed. The roads that once invited newcomers to attempt residency in Dudleytown have been long overgrown, resembling little more than footpaths and deer trails. It is forbidden to visit the area or to follow Dark Entry Road into the forest, and many find themselves in a police station as the residents of the area are staunch protectors. To this day, there are tales of owls hooting all day long in the area. Generally, this is regarded as strange behavior for these nocturnal birds. People report seeing hooved creatures and even a massive cloaked figure on a dark horse in the area. There is an eerie silence in the land, and Ed Warren once said that plants in this area don't grow right. Paranormal explorers have reported hearing metallic sounds in the woods, something akin to the sounds people who have experienced portals have also heard. Could this be yet another area of dimensional bleed? People in the area, often those that shouldn't be there at all, are said to be attracted to the beauty of the place. But that feeling of attraction soon turns into a crushing pressure. An unexplainable amount of people seem to get lost in the woods around Dudleytown. Is this due to the merge of dimensions? One thing is for certain. The people who still live in the area are hell-bent on keeping visitors away. There are many websites that mock and attempt to eliminate the very idea that anything strange of any kind is or has ever happened in the area. Some say the whole thing is one big fairy tale without a shred of truth to it, while others say that that is precisely what someone attempting to protect and hide the location would say. The truth remains in the forest. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this special episode. Let me know in the comments or send me a message what you thought of this episode, if you liked it, if you would like more episodes like this. If this is something you really enjoyed, I'd love to hear about it, love to hear what you like, and maybe I can make this happen more in the future. Please share the podcast with your friends and follow everywhere, YouTube, Instagram, and Spotify, and as well as whatever your favorite podcasting platform is. But definitely please follow the YouTube and the Instagram. This video has some amazing imagery, so yeah, check it out. And share this with your friends, guys. I need you to share this with one friend today. Find that one friend, share it, get them to like the page. We need to break into the algorithm and reach more people. Thanks, guys. You guys are the best. And remember, don't drink the water and question everything.